What's up everybody, it's your boy Rishraff, and as you can see here we got the car color customization. This is exactly what it looks like, so let us commence forth. What's good everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rishraff, and if you're new here, you already know it's going to be a good video, and if you're a returning subscriber, thanks a lot bro, really appreciate it. So today we got the car color customization system. Now what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to change the color of our vehicle to any color that we wish via embedded in the code. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go and I want to search up our trusty Lamborghini. Now if you guys are wondering why I always use this Lamborghini, it's because it's the most trusty chassis I know. And let me go ahead and insert it. Sorry if you can hear the computer fans. I know that sometimes you guys may not be able to hear them, but I hear them and it like gets in the way of the video. Also, just keep in mind everybody, people like to like copy the videos or whatever and like put them on Udemy or whatever. This course is not supposed to be on Udemy. It's your boy Rishraff on YouTube. Alright, so the first thing what we are going to want to do is just examine our vehicle. So I'm opening this up. We see that as children, we have these children, and then we have the body right here, and then I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna look now. As you can see, I just imported this, so I didn't change anything about it at all. And I'm gonna go and I locate these parts called paint. Now a lot of these parts are called mesh parts, and they don't really matter. The way the developer of this Lamborghini made it is to where these are called paint, so we can easily paint the vehicle, and that's another reason why I choose this model. If you guys have your own vehicles, just name the parts that really matter for paint as well. Now before we get into any code, let's go ahead and make a simple UI. So how we can do that is going to go to insert object, screen UI. We can go ahead and call this color UI, and we're going to need a total of 3 buttons. Now this is because we want 2 colors and 1 exit button. And how we can do that is we can insert text button here. I'll call this button exit. Then we'll move this button. Computer fans are going crazy, and we'll go ahead and change the text actually, so that way we can decipher what is what. We'll just name this exit. Awesome. And just so you guys can see in the video, because I know the resolution with YouTube kind of gets wonky, so let's just do the color red and blue. Let's duplicate this and we'll put it over here. Alright, so the button name, so you guys can pick whatever you guys want as a color, but there's a certain way you have to write it. Now for this button, for this example, I'm just going to name it blue, red, and blue, okay? The text, the name of this button doesn't really matter. I'm going to explain it really simply. The name of it and the text of the button does not matter at all. If you would like to link it to where it's easier for you to understand and use the title of use the name of the button to change the color, then that's recommended. If you don't know what I mean, I'll show you guys in the code, because you have to write the color a certain way to change the brick color. Now that we have our UI, let's go ahead and insert our events. First thing that we're going to need to do is go to the replicated storage. We're going to need a remote event as well. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to name another one UI event. This is a UI handler. This is so that way we can broadcast this replicated across the server. If you don't know what I mean, it's okay, just use events. This way each client will know. And if you don't know what clients and server side is, go ahead and check out my series Nil to Mill. So we are good for the setup. This is awesome. We got it all set up. Now we just need a code. We just need 3 scripts for this guy. Really simple, really easy. As you can see, I'm using the same setup as my car engine block customization system, and if you don't know what that is, I'll leave a link in the description below. That is the exact system. You can actually combine the 2 systems, which is absolutely amazing. Now this system does not save the car color. If you guys wanted to save the car color, let's run this video up to about 2,000 likes. Let's see if we can hit that. Let's go ahead and insert a simple local script inside of our UI. Now you always want to do local scripts inside UI like 98% of the time. We can start off by saying local event equals game.replicated storage. Now, as you'll notice here, I also color coded the built-in instances so that way you guys can see. It doesn't really affect me, but notice how this is a different color now, so that way you guys can see what is actually built in and what you have to actually write out. So this should autocomplete right here. I'm gonna go back. This should autocomplete to red.mouse. This should all be autocompleting. If it does not, please rewind and watch it again. You probably missed a step. I'm gonna go ahead and comment this. Actually comment it later. That should autocomplete end function. And then all we're gonna do is just fire this event. It's that simple. Script.parent.car. Uh-oh, we don't have a car value. So what we need to do is, this is a perfect example of what we need to do. So we're going to say script, that's a local script.parent, and we need an object value in here. And we need to name this car. And now, if you guys want more in-depth explanation of why we have this object value, the engine block customization system is literally the sister of this video, and it will definitely run parallel on how to customize the vehicle. So if I leave anything out in this video, just know it's in that video as well, if that's what you're looking for, and if you really want to learn how this works, which I highly advise. Just remember, this course is not supposed to be on Udemy, so if it is, just go ahead and contact the support and let me know. And if you guys ever need to get a hold of me, contact@rishraff.com is the move. You can also join my Discord server, and we'll say .value. Notice how when I inserted it, it automatically said .value. And then all we need to do is comma, and I'll show you guys why. So this is exactly why we need to memorize. Well, we don't need to memorize it all, but we can pull up a picture of what the Roblox colors are. Now, I have a couple memorized for this video. So Roblox has their own color codes, and they're really easy to remember. They're called bright red. This is a color combo or color code that we can use. So we have bright red right here. Now I'll show you guys what is going to receive this event because we're firing it. And that's all you need to do for this one. If you want to change it to red, you just fire an event that'll say, okay, let's change it to red. Now we can do the exact same thing for the blue one. We can say .blue.mouse. It should automatically autocomplete. If it's not, then you did something wrong. And let me know you guys' comments, concerns in the description. This is tested like 6 times with 6 different people, so if it doesn't work, just go ahead and you probably missed a spot in the video. No big deal. And then this should autocomplete now that we have the car value in there. If it doesn't, you probably didn't put the car value in the GUI as a child. And then we'll put a comma here as well, and we'll say bright blue. All right. Now this is exactly what you would do for colors. Now, like I was saying earlier, if you want to change the color of the vehicle by using the names right here, you can rename these and say the button's name. You could do a 4 and get all the colors. That's how I would do it. If you're going to have like 60 different colors, here's a suggestion. Use a 4IV loop and just get all the buttons. And when someone clicks the button, just fire it using that button's name. So you'd have to rename each button to the exact color code. It's a lot of work, but in the end, it makes your code really efficient. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just doing 2 simple colors. Then we need to go ahead and reference this UI event. Wait for child. Now, this right here should autocomplete. If it doesn't, then you're doing something wrong. All right, then we'll say script.parent.exit.mouse. So this is just to hide the UI. Oh, I'd say actually destroy the UI. But we cannot do that locally. And if you guys still don't know what locally and via server side is, go ahead and check out nil to mil. That'll explain a lot. So we're done with this local script. Easy 14 lines of code. This is going to handle our UI. If you're not familiar with that user interface, it's basically our buttons. As you can see, I'm going really in depth with this tutorial because I really want you guys to know how it works. Now, additionally, what we're going to need here, the frames per second is really low, but we're going to need another script here to handle that stuff. So anytime you're dealing with events, you're most likely dealing with a server script service script right now. I'm going to go ahead and name this event handler. And this is an easy 21 lines of code. I mean, it's not that much. And we'll say equals game.replicated. And if you really want to learn, I mean, if you're really watching this video, just go ahead and leave a link. I'm sorry, not a link in the description. That's my job. But go ahead and leave a comment. Just be like, hey, Rishraff, I'm watching it. We'll go ahead and call a function right here. It's a local function. Honestly, guys, I'm going to be so honest with you. You don't have to put local function. I mean, I do as sake of the code, but I mean, sometimes it really doesn't matter. Sometimes it's better not to put it, so that way it's via the whole script, but oh well. So you can see here that what we're going to do is we're going to fire it. Now, when you fire an event, you have arguments, and here you have the parameters that go into it. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to fire the car, meaning that we're going to get the car that we want to change, and then we want to get the color. But then you're like, Rishraff, why are there three? Why do you have player, the car, and then color to change? Well, when you fire an event, when you use fire server, it automatically puts the player as the first argument. Weird, but it's just something you gotta keep in mind. To change the color, we're gonna be using a for loop in pairs. You wanna say vehicle. This is why it's important to know the structure and makeup of your model before you do anything code. That's why you have to study that first. I'm also making a police game, a police simulation game. It's going to be really realistic. If you guys want more info on that, leave a comment in the description. And then all we're going to do is we're going to say color. Now, you'll notice here, this is exactly what I'm talking about. All of these colors right here are built in. So you can put like brown, right? You can put brown and then you can change this right here to brown. Right? Because the game or the engine is recognizing that a color is supposed to go here. It is recognizing that a color is supposed to go here, which is exact thing that we want. This is exactly what we want. But instead of actually putting a specific color to save efficiency and time in the engine, we'll just put color to change. It's not going to autocomplete because it recognizes it as a parameter, but this is something that we want to put here. Because all we're doing is picking the color here, transferring it through into this script, and then boom, it's right here. This saves so much time and it allows you to use your UI a lot more efficiently. Now, looks like we're going to have a couple ends, so we're going to have a... Now, what I want to mention here, though, is we don't want to get all the parts in the body. We want to use an if statement, so we'll say if v.name equal paint. This is why they all have to be named paint. And then we'll skip a line here and we'll say end. So that way, if the part's name is paint, then we can actually paint it. If not, then we're not going to do anything else. Then what we'll do is we'll drop a few lines and we'll say event.onServer event connect change color. Now, this event is what we're referencing right here. It's called the remote event. Here we're doing the exact same thing. The event is also event. You could have copied and pasted that. We're firing that, and here we're connecting it. And when we connect it here, take this off. But when we're connecting it here, we're going to call this function. If you're unfamiliar with functions, again, nil to mil is probably what you're going to want to look at after this video. And then boom, we just call that and it does the rest for us. Then we'll say local UI event equals game.replicated storage wait for child. Now this is the same UI event, but it's not the same code because what we need to do is create a function to change the UI. So we'll literally call it UI change, but we'll spell it right. I think that's important. I'll say PLR. That should autocomplete. We'll say plr.player GUI find first child customize UI. So in my other tutorial, I called it customize UI, and that's what I had marked down. But we'll name it color UI. It has to be the name of the GUI that you created. And then we'll do colon destroy. I think the color coding actually really helps. Let me know if you guys like the color coding in the description. That goes to show what is what. I think it helps break up the code and helps you realize, okay, this is built-in Roblox versus built-in everything. So we need to call this UI change. Again, I don't know why it completes like that. It's not supposed to, but what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, if we want to exit this UI, if we want to get rid of this UI, we're going to fire it here. And in here, we're just going to go and boom, destroy that. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my UI view off. I know this is going to be a long video, but I feel like if I really go in explanation and in depth, you guys will actually understand how to do it rather than just copy it from the description. Now, what we're going to need to do here is just put a sensor part. Now, I like to call it sensor because, you know, it just sounds good. And we need to turn on anchored and turn off can collide. Any other properties like color or whatever, you guys can go ahead and change that. I just changed the transparency because I want to be able to see through it so I can see that my car is actually interacting with it. Now, we're on the last script here, and I'm going to go ahead and name the sensor. The sensor name doesn't really matter. You don't have to name it that. I just like to do it as a reference. And we're just going to make one little tiny script in this, and then we should be done. We're going to go and insert a script, and we'll call it give UI. Now, remember that UI that we did make at the beginning? Let me turn on my UI. Remember that UI that we did make? Let's go ahead and drag that. So, into our script, and it has to be a child of the script. Just remember that, not as a part, but as a script within itself. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say local UI equals script dot color UI. This should autocomplete. If this does not, then you did not put the UI in the right place. Then we'll say script dot parent dot touched. This should autocomplete as well. Connect. If it's auto-completing for me, then, it should auto-complete for you. And most of the time, this auto-completion will help you. I think it's called, like, Smart Sense or something. And we'll say drive seat. Make sure you have the exact spelling as I do. And upon finding this drive seat, and we'll get the player from character. And we want to go ahead and say find first child. Now, this is where it gets a little intense, I'd say, just where you have to keep track. So I'll kind of zoom in so you guys can see. And we'll say drive, let me move my mouse so you guys can see. We'll say drive seat. All right, now I'll move over, say dot occupant dot parent. We'll put and we have that parenthesis still there. And then we'll go on the end of it and we'll say dot player GUI, and then boom, find first child. Color coding actually really clutches up here, which we like, and we'll say color UI, and then we'll say then. So I know that it was more than obviously one line of, well, it was just one line of just gibberish. I know that. Let me complete this script, and then I'll show you guys exactly what we just did, because that way it's a lot easier to comprehend when I explain the entire thing. So since we already have UI in here, I like to use just a letter. I'll say equals UI clone. So let's go and clone this UI. We'll say a.car.value, and then we'll say that's not going to autocomplete. We'll say hit.parent. Make sure it's a capital P, and we'll say a.parent equals game.players. This is a little long one right here. Get player from character. Hit.parent. Find first child. And then inside this, we'll say drive seat. Now, I know you guys are like, okay, Rishraff, I'm honestly just copying it at this point. I don't know what I'm doing. It's all good. I'll explain. This is, by not taking the place and actually watching the video, you'll actually learn. Unlike just taking the place and going through and deciphering through the code and just putting in your game. Because this could not even work in your game. Because there's some modifications that you're going to have to make. So, when we hit this sensor, we need to find that if we're a car, if we're inside of a vehicle, if a vehicle hits this. And then we're going to say, ignore this not. Not means no, if it's false. So we're going to go ahead and say, game.players, get the character, hit.parent. We're going to find the occupant, which is us. We'll find the person sitting. Inside their player GUI, if they have this color UI. That's as simple as like, if not, right? So then we have to add that not in there. So if they don't have the UI, then all we have to do is say local UI, clone it, then basically get the player from character, get the person inside the driver's seat, and then just give it to their player UI. Now you're probably like, Rishraff, why do we have an event for closing out the UI and destroying it, but we don't have it for giving it? Because you'll notice that this is a server-side script. This is a regular script that goes inside the server. So the entire server knows what we're doing. Meanwhile, in the local script, you have to use an event because only we know what we're doing on our local side. That's why we have to fire it across the server, just so that they know that we're destroying our UI. And here comes the moment of truth. All right, so go ahead and press play. Now, hopefully my computer does not crash. So, all right, now that we're in, we're gonna go ahead and load in. We got the Lambo firing up. Let's go ahead and get in here. So we got the UI, that's a good sign. So let's go ahead and pick the blue. Our vehicle is going to go ahead and change to blue. We got red. Now we can change it back to blue. I can press blue as many times as I want. It's going to stay blue. I can do this all day. Now I think the blue Lambo looks nice, and we'll go ahead and exit. And then we can drive around. Now we can go back in, get the UI again, and we can go and actually press red. Then we can exit. And this is exactly how this is going to work. And you guys can use this code manifest to get anything you guys want for color customization. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any suggestions, just know that this course is not supposed to be on Udemy. It's actually on YouTube. Rishraff, you already know the boy. So, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Rishraff. Peace out. Leave a like. And I'll see you guys later. Stay safe. And make a purchase on limitlessgamer.net. Peace!